first question is, other than Lakeville, is anyone recording this meeting? See anyone indicating so we'll assume the answer is no. The first agenda item is the Turner hearing, which is continued. Appeal from the decision of the building inspector, zoning enforcement officer relative to business activity at the residential district at 11 School Street. I believe we have someone who's recusing himself from this. Right?
Yes, I am.
All right, just recusing himself.
Could you speak, do you want to move the mic a little bit closer, possibly?
I will speak a little louder. How does that sound?
Well, I have a hearing problem, so.
Well, why don't you come up to the front seat? You can hear me real well. That's it. Can everyone else hear me fine? No, yeah, I think it's carrying. I just think, unfortunately, I don't even know how well these mics carry, but. Okay, so we have the Turner hearing continued. Who's here? I think I saw Mr. Turner. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Good, you?
Good, thank you. So we've received some additional information from Mr. Turner, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you are not represented anymore. You're handling the appeal yourself, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So obviously you've provided a bunch of information to the board, which has been on file down at our planning office. I did, I did reach out to the building commissioner. Obviously, the last time we met on this was January 15th, and we had a number of residents, people in the area at the meeting as well, who talked about the activities going on there. And again, I sent an email over to Nate. I'm going to read his response into the record, just because I wanted to get a feeling of, so that the board would know what has transpired, if anything, through his office since then. So I asked him for an update. He replied back, "Good afternoon, John. While I anticipated an additional request for zoning enforcement shortly after the January 15th, 2026 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, I have yet to receive anything. Since that meeting, I have spoken to the owner of 11 School Street on multiple occasions, and they have significantly limited the production of firewood on their property. Understanding the sensitivity here, I have been monitoring the subject property from both School Street and Ledgewood Drive between 2 to 3 times per week without any personally witnessed production of firewood on the subject property. There have been a couple of neighbors that have been very helpful documenting activity on site and doing so with a keen eye on an amicable solution rather than a heavy hand. The information on activity is as follows. March 5th, 2026, 1 to 2 hours, conveyor only, no indication of chainsaw operating. On March 9th, 45 minutes, conveyor only, 15 minutes, chainsaw being operated, 1 hour in total. It is vital to note that the owner of 11 School Street has not been directed to stop firewood production for personal use on their property, and provided they are in compliance with the Board of Health noise regulations, they would be allowed to continue that activity. Despite it being crystal clear to me that there is no current zoning violations at 11 School Street, I would recommend that the Zoning Board of Appeals entertain a continuance for a month or two so we can preserve the applicant's petition to appeal, respect the other neighbors' concerns, and see what happens with the nicer weather. In the perfect world, everyone would recognize the significant resources diverted to the compliance and negative impact of the neighborhood relationships and work together to put this complaint behind us. I will continue to monitor the situation regardless of what is decided and to do what I can to help mend fences. So, understandably so, I guess, obviously, as everyone is well aware, we've had quite the circumstances as far as weather goes over this past winter. So, I think, and I tend to agree with Nate's position, and I'm going to let you talk for a second, Paul. I'm not sure that it's a fair representation over the past month and a half as to whether someone really is or isn't operating a business there. Obviously, it's kind of tough to do anything after 3 feet of snow has fallen. And I'm not sure if that's the reason why there haven't been significant complaints made over the past month and a half, or he really has scaled back and is not doing what he was doing before. So, at this point, do we have any other comments or questions or anything we'd like to bring to light from the board, or if not, I'm going to ask Mr. Attorney to come up and if he has anything additional to add.
I have enough for that.
Okay. Come on up, Paul.
Paul Turner, 1 Ledgewood Drive, for the record. I want to present what I have. The activity at 11 School Street, in direct correlation to the day that I filed the complaint, the activity dropped down to nothing. So it's a common practice to just stop while you're under scrutiny. So I want to present what I have.
Okay,
Okay?
go right ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to let me speak tonight. Before I begin, I want to clarify 2 points that are important for the board to have in mind as you hear the evidence tonight. I've been offering these only to help the board stay focused on the correct legal standards under Chapter 48. There was discussion last time about the needing to prove a business or a point of sale. I've looked very carefully at Massachusetts zoning law, and that is not the standard. Zoning does not regulate business transactions. It regulates the use of the land. So the question for the board is not whether a business exists or where money changes hands. The question is simply, what is the use of the property based on the equipment, the setup, and the activities on the land? That is the standard the courts use, and it is the standards Chapter 48 uses. I have not found any Massachusetts case requiring proof of a business or a point of sale to classify a use or enforce the bylaw. I also want to address the issue of the current activity level occurring at 11 School Street at present, because I expect the subject will be raised tonight. I have observed the commissioner driving through the neighborhood the past couple of weeks. The decline in activity at 11 School Street directly correlates to the moment I file this appeal. That is not a change in use, that is a change in behavior because the property is under scrutiny. Massachusetts courts are unanimous that the non-use alone is never enough to extinguish a use or cure a violation. A paused use is still a use, and a dormant violation is still a violation. Case law is consistent. Town of Orange versus Shea, non-use does not extinguish a use. Caher Enterprises, even multi-year inactivity does not end a use. Sonia Land Court, 2022, non-use alone is never abandonment. Harvard versus Maxant, use is defined by character impact, not frequency. SCIT versus Braintree, zoning regulates the physical setup, not the operator's schedule. So even if the commission is driven by not seeing activity, that does not change the zoning classification, does not eliminate the need for enforcement. The equipment, the setup, the operation are still present. The use has not changed, only the timing of the operation has. Massachusetts courts have never held that temporary inactivity extinguishes or cures a zoning violation. In fact, the courts are unanimous that non-use alone is never enough. A use continues unless there is both non-use and clear intent to abandon. And nothing like that exists here. Under controlling case law, this is a commercial operation, not an extinguished one. The board must act even if the violation is dormant because the use still exists and will resume the moment scrutiny fades. With those 2 points clarified, explain why I'm here. As you know, I'm no longer represented by Attorney Markey, but I want the board to know that all the legal representations that I'm offering tonight as a layperson have been verified and are listed on the citation page in the submitted packet. I can also offer a separate citation page for this opening statement if necessary. I'm here representing myself and the general neighborhood to present the zoning basis for reinstating the cease and desist order at 11 School Street and to request clear findings that will allow the building commissioner to enforce the bylaw consistently and effectively. There has been a critical misunderstanding. The zoning issue before you is not whether a business is being conducted. Excuse me. Massachusetts courts consistently hold that zoning regulates the activities occurring on the land itself. Not business arrangements, not point of sale, and not whether a business entity even exists. As the appeals court held in Prudential Insurance Company versus Westwood, a use may be commercial in nature even if no business is formally conducted. The character of the activity, not the presence of a business enterprise, controls. The activities occurring at 11 School Street, year-round processing, staging, loading, and exporting of large quantities of firewood constitute a commercial use in a residential district, far exceeding the accessory residential use that is allowed. The neighborhood has witnessed long durations of firewood processing using commercial-grade equipment, operation of a commercial conveyor belt, loading of a Ford F-550 commercial dump truck with multiple cords of processed wood, repeated exporting a processed product, often before dawn and under a tarp. These activities are not incidental or customary to residential firewood use. They are commercial operations. Clear findings are necessary. Without them, enforcement becomes impossible. The neighbors may witness for hours of processing, but be unable to document the export because it occurs at times chosen to avoid observation. A covered load could be misrepresented as trash or brush, despite the neighborhood have just witnessed for hours the processing and loading. There is no residential reason to load processed wood into a commercial truck unless it's being exported. The same is true for the conveyor. Common sense tells us that a conveyor is not needed for incidental residential use. I respectfully request the board to adopt the following findings. Activities on the property constitute commercial use exceeding the allowed accessory residential use. Loading a commercial dump truck with processed firewood is a commercial use. Operating a commercial conveyor belt is a commercial use. Exporting processed firewood, documented or not, is a commercial use. Commercial scale processing exceeds accessory residential use. These activities are enforceable by the building commissioner. I respectfully request that the board reinstate the cease and desist order and adopt these findings to provide clear and enforceable guidance. These actions will help restore the residential character of the neighborhood and give the commissioner the tools needed to end this ongoing problem. At this time, I want to play a 2-minute video for the record. Please keep in mind this clip's only 2 minutes long. But imagine trying to work from home, which a number of people in the neighborhood do, or just enjoying out in your yard, hanging out, while listening to this for hours at a time. It happens on weekdays, weekends, mornings, afternoon, evenings. After the video, I'll briefly walk through the submitted packet and then be open for questions. Play the video, please. 12/20/2025, 1:20 in the afternoon. That's inside my house.
Inside my house.
It's a conveyor. Again, now it's only 2 minutes, so this goes on for 2, 4, 6, 8, sometimes 10 hours. Morning time, during the week, if I come home, the neighbors will call me that work from home, I come home, it's ripping at 11 o'clock. It can go on a Saturday, a Sunday, he doesn't care. I'm going to do my best to go through the packet as quick as I can, and, yeah,
Paul,
I'll move
just-
along. Sure, go ahead.
For a second. So, I'm speaking for myself, not for the rest of the
Sure.
board. You know, last time we met in January,
Mhm.
we had neighbors and yourself here, and I don't think the board is stuck or discounting the fact that if you can't get the receipt, and I know we talked about that initially, like, let's see the receipt, let's see the money exchange, you can't, it's
Yeah.
just, bear with me here. I'm not so sure that that's literal anymore what we're stuck on.
Okay.
I think, and again, these guys will correct me and keep me honest here, but I think the fact that if they really is truly conducting a business operation, I don't think this board is necessarily going to say, no, well, until you show us the smoking gun, like I think was referred to, that's not something we're not going to turn around and put the cease and desist or advise the building commission to put it back in place and overturn it. I think ultimately the goal here is, and correct me if I'm wrong, the goal is he needs to stop doing it from a business standpoint. We can't, in my belief, and I can confirm this with town council, we can't stop somebody from having a chainsaw on their property, from having a 10-wheel dump, from having...
No one is saying that.
I know, just bear with me.
Go ahead.
We can't do that. Ultimately, what we want to do is stop that, from, to your point, going on 10 hours a day, going on multiple days on the weekends. It's getting to the point where there really is a commercial type operation happening that is impacting the rest of the neighbors and not operating within the zoning within that area, which it wouldn't be if it was to that extent, and it may have been at that extent. That is the ultimate goal, I believe. Now, if in fact, the last 2 months, it has drastically come down, and I agree with you wholly, you know, you turn around and someone's watching, you're gonna correct your behavior, right?
Correct.
So the reason would, and I agree with Nate's thought here, is I can't imagine if he really is wanting to continue to operate a business, it'd be tough for anybody to do anything outside of, you know, the month of March especially, right, to some degree. But if the fact that we're continuing this, and it's gonna keep him in check, and it's gonna be 2 calls over a month of him using it for an hour here and an hour there, we're kind of getting to where we want to be. If he turns around and we come back 2 months from now, or a month from now, and all of a sudden he's back to the same routine again, then that's going to put this board in a better position. Keep in mind, we can't really regulate what he did 6 months ago.
I disagree.
So,
Case law says that you can. Let me finish my presentation.
let me ask you this, Paul, what are we going to do literally?
It's nothing to do with it's nothing to do with a business.
How do you want us to enforce this? What is the resolution you want? Maybe that's the best way to put it. Just
Okay, so
put
it-
it in layman's terms.
All right, fine. We'll go
Resolution,
right,
not just cease and desist.
not a problem.
What do you want to have happen?
So
with the property?
if we have the cease and desist in place
Yep.
with the 6 findings that I requested, so loading a commercial truck, an F-550, it's a 19,000-pound truck with 3 4-quarter wood. There's no accessory use calling for that. There's no reason why the truck would be loaded and exported. The month of November, I documented 13 loads, 40 cords of wood left that property. That's a commercial use. I don't care if it's a business, I don't care if he's giving it
I
away.
understand that,
But what do we want to do? I want that in, so we need the cease and desist, need the 6 findings in place, so Nate has the rules. So if that truck, when he loads the truck, it takes 4 or 5 hours of listening. So We call up, email, Nate, he's loading the truck. Right at that point, you can say, that's a $300 fine. You can't load the truck and export it from the property. It's just like if you're in a bank and some guy next to you has a ski mask on and a gun and the teller, and he's asking the teller to fill up the bag, you don't have to wait till the guy goes to the sidewalk to say he's robbing the bank. He's loading the truck for one reason only, to export it, over and over and over. So if he wants to cut wood, everyone in 75% of the people in Lakeville have a chainsaw. That's fine, I have one. But if you cut wood for your own property, it's not a year-round project. So he needs to stop.
Right, which it appears he has over the past.
It snowed this high for once. Again, as soon as someone's under scrutiny, what do? They run and hide.
No, I agree with you.
Okay.
I said for the
So
record, do you
what I
agree
need,
that
what I
said-
want this,
Paul, do you agree that I said that's probably part of the reason why he's not
I
potentially?
get it, I
right?
get it.
So,
What I want is Nate needs, he said that he can't enforce it because he can't get a point of sale. He was incorrect with that. Point of sale is a business law theory. It has nothing to do with zoning. Absolutely nothing. And
I can hear you go, Paul.
we're not trying, I'm getting off track what I wanted to come across, but we don't have to prove that they're running a business. A business is not allowed to run in a residential zone. He's exceeding the accessory use. So a house takes,
Go
okay.
I
A
was just
house,
gonna ask
ahead. Yeah, let me,
a house, I mean, takes like, 7, 8 cords of wood. So let him produce 7, 8 cords.
What is it you said this is what you want? At this point, we're
Oh.
saying he's not doing anything. So you want,
A cease and desist back in place with the 6 findings that are in my packet that I propose.
it's all we can do is overturn Nate's decision.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You can. You can order,
That's what
you
said.
absolutely,
You're appealing his decision, correct?
you can order findings, you can overturn a decision. 48 gives you that right.
So you want us to overturn the decision with the findings that you want to specifically say what, he can't use a truck, he can't load a truck, he can't,
Use a conveyor belt, that's correct.
so he's restricted from doing any of that on his property.
That's right. If he wants to cut his own wood, that's fine.
So
Keep it on the property.
How does he, what if he wants to put wood in a oversized truck to bring his appearance? And again, I'm not saying.
Okay, so
I'm
that,
disagreeing-
so that
I'm not
incidental,
disagreeing with you,
so I addressed that in my letter that I sent to you.
I think you're asking, can he distinguish between if he's cutting wood with a chainsaw for commercial purposes or personal purposes? Is that what you're
I want to
trying
know what
get
the result, I mean, we know what the result is, we want him to stop.
I understand.
Doing that, but.
If we institute a cease and desist, does that limit him from using a chainsaw at all?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
That-
So,
That's your expectation?
yeah, fine. People can produce their own firewood. It's an accessory use of owning a home. It's just like having a garden. You can have, it's an accessory use. But how many cord does he need to produce? So I documented 40 cord in 1 month,
Right.
but it went on for summers. I'm going to estimate in 200 in a year. 200 cord left that property.
And we can't reverse it and make him bring those 200 back, so that's my point of.
But there's no way, so Nate's going to walk in, what are you doing? I'm cutting for personal use.
And at that point, if he turns around and is doing it on a basis like he was before, and we come back in a month or 2 months, and everyone's saying, listen, we got pictures of this day, this day, this day, we've put in complaints with Nate, we've asked, all this.
So what purpose
going on
does
now?
what purpose does anyone need for accessory use to run a conveyor belt? What purpose?
I have no idea. Chris, did you ask a question?
Well, yeah, I guess the question is kind of twofold. One, I guess what would your 6 bullet point items be? And number 2, can we actually enforce those types of guardrails with our decision?
Yeah, nothing personal, Paul, we need to confirm all this with council to
Exactly.
make sure we could do it, because obviously I'm not going to say I know the legal system to
Mhm.
that extent, so.
So I have a couple questions for you, Mr. Turner. You said that there's a 550 vehicle,
Mhm.
550 vehicle, commercial vehicle.
Yeah.
Any research done on the vehicle, who's registered venture to? What's the commercial business? It might
It
be-
says Walsh Logging on the side of it.
Okay, did you do further research about who operates that business and what address?
Mr. Walsh operates it.
And out of what address? I'm sure you did it on the corporate search database maybe, but what address?
I don't have that information in front of me. But again, you don't have to prove that someone's running a business. That's the whole thing. This is zoning. It's about use of the property.
Paul, I agree with you, and right now, based on what has happened since January, I don't see, I'm not gonna, we're talking since January, since we last met.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to prior to January. Based on the information that I've received through the Commissioner's office or anything, and no one sent anything specifically to the zoning board about this, about any violations in the past 60 days, give or take. So what is the commercial venture that's happened in the past 60 days?
We sent it.
If you're gonna say something, you gotta come up and,
No. In the last 60 days, in January, he loaded 9 crates. He left at 6:30, 8:30, and 9:30. He trucked out 9 crates of firewood. And then the 2 observations that were sent in. It's had snow on the ground, and again, he's undercover. The problem is, if you don't have a cease and desist in order with proper guidelines for Nate to enforce, every time he wants to produce, it's just going to be, I'm cutting for personal use. He's going to put it in the truck. Okay, someone can put it in the truck, because you can do that on your own property, but you can also say it's a commercial use because it's going to exceed the accessory use, but we'll let that go. So if I don't get a picture of him leaving the site, or he has a top on it and he says, there was no wood under that, it was rubbish, it was brush. Nate's going to say, I can't prove that, and this is just going to go on and on
let me play
and
devil's
on.
advocate. If you had all these conditions in place on the cease and desist, and he had it covered, how are you gonna enforce that?
Like I just said, there's no reason to load a truck on site for 4 or 5 hours with 3.5 cord of wood. For
No,
what
no,
purpose?
Your point is, you're saying if we have all this in place, then there's gonna be some teeth and we can stop him from doing it. But you're also, in the same breath, another breath, said, well, we can't tell what he's doing. He's got it covered, it's under the cover.
That's why if we go to my findings, if you find that a truck being loaded with 3.5 cord of wood on a piece of property, again, using my analogy of the bank, you don't have to wait till the bank robber runs out to the sidewalk. If he's standing next to you with a gun to the tellers, telling him to fill up the bag full of money, he's robbing a bank. He's filling that truck for export. There's no other reason for it. You can make that determination. The board in 48 gives you that right to make these determinations.
We've been monitoring it since the appeal came to us, and I just told you, we've had 2 people make a complaint in the past 60 days.
So John, to your point, do you think,
The periods of, I think, what was it, one was an hour, one was less than 2 hours, so, again, it may be just because there's 3 feet of snow on the ground and you can't do anything right now. And honestly, if he turns around and we come back in a month or 2 and it's back to the same old
But you can
scenario.
put the cease and desist in place. So a pause use is still a use, a dormant violation is still a violation. That's not my words. That's from the appellate court. You guys supposed to use these,
Parameters we can put on the cease and desist? I mean, I've been advised on that.
No, we haven't. I mean, again, because I was assuming if you remember the last time in January, when we met, we were going, inferred may not be a strong enough word, that we were gonna receive a second complaint that was gonna open up another cease and desist, a complaint. Nothing ever happened. We were gonna have people let the commissioner know what was going on. No one's let us know anything that's going on. So we come back 2 months later, we have 2 complaints over a 60-day period. It seems like everything has subsided. That's what I think we need to make our decision on. I can't go back and say what's going on, what was happening in November, what was happening in December.
but you can. Sorry, but you can. So consult with the attorney, and she's going to tell you you can.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add? Because I know some other people have their hands up in the back.
So there's no, yeah, I do. I have quite a bit to I don't understand. So how about the packet? There's all sorts of case law in here. Accessory use must be customary, incidental, subordinate. The use ceases to be accessory when its scale or intensity alters the residential character.
I don't think I'm disagreeing, I know I'm not disagreeing.
But these are all
with
things
you.
that you can find on. The zoning board is to interpret case law. Nate's job is to enforce it. You have the right to state the findings, to have the findings. That's in your 40A.
2 people in 60 days. So, Chris,
I-
go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess my point is that if any of those things in the findings were occurring, then Nate would have had to see them over the past 60 days, and then we'd have something, Nate would have had something to sink his teeth into, right?
Could you say that again, please?
Like if those 6 findings, whatever they are, right?
Yeah, sure.
If those happened within the last 60 days and Nate would have found it, or if they were complained on
He
and Nate
could-
would have
he could
noticed it,
find
he
them.
would have had some teeth, right? But I
That-
think what John is saying is that has not occurred in the past.
That's right.
We're all here, though.
Yeah.
Listen,
We're not
listen,
complaining
if you're
because they're
gonna,
harassing us. The 11 School Street's harassing
when
all
Mr.
of us.
Turner's done, Mr. Turner has the floor, so it's up, if he wants to give up the floor.
No, I'm not,
So I
no.
guess what I'm saying is even if Nate had the findings, he would not have found them in the past 60 days. I guess
Then that's
my whole
great.
point.
So if the cease and desist was in place with the findings, and Mr. Walsh is grown up and stopped the BS, that's great, so we won't have to use it. But if he does, he will also know what the terms of engagement are. So if you're gonna load a truck with 3.5 and think you're gonna sneak it out at 5:30 in the morning, you're not, because the neighbors are gonna report it. Nate's got a 4 or 5 hour window to come down and say, you can't be doing this. Unless Mr. Walsh is gonna tell him that he's gonna be transferring from the back of the yard to the front of the yard. Okay, let me see you do that. But it's obvious what's going on. We've lived with this for a year. Last March is when I filed. This has been 1 year.
I understand.
I don't think anyone understands when you're in your backyard and you have people over, you have to leave the property. I can't even go into the house. We have to leave, invite guests over for a day and to have a glass of wine out back, and we have to leave. We have to go to a restaurant. And I have no I can't call. There's no one to call. Nate would not come down. If we have these in place, the neighbors can call, the neighbors can monitor. This would be all over in a couple of weeks.
The neighbors can call right now.
Okay, in the spring, when he gets going, the neighbors are gonna call. Nate can't do anything because Mr. Walt's gonna say, this is for personal use.
And then we're gonna have a track record at that point.
But again,
and then we
this
can
is,
turn it
how
around
about
again.
right now? We have suffered for a whole year. I have what has to be in place. You have the right to put it in place. You're the ZBA. You can interpret the bylaws and put them in. You interpret case law. You and Nate are 2 separate entities.
Understood. Well, hang on, it's up to Mr. Turner. You can talk to him, ask him.
Go ahead.
Just,
Good, you can speak.
well, you, Ken Pinter, 9 School Street.
I-
Hi. You said 2 complaints have happened in the last couple of months. My question basically is, how many more complaints do you need to hear, first of all, before you make a decision? And it seems to me, it's pretty clear that he needs, 11 School Street needs some kind of control. Because if you don't have an external control, he's not going to respond that well. He hasn't so far. He could now, but he hasn't. The other thing is, it may have nothing to do with anything, because I don't know the law that well. I know the domestic violence law, which is the 51A. They've changed that a while ago to say the person who is beating up somebody else does not have to be there at the time that the police officer gets there. All they need to do, who's getting beaten up, the victim, needs to report it, and they will then put the 51A. I don't know if it's exactly analogous, but it should be, and it seems to be that that's the case. We don't need any more than 1 complaint or 2 complaints, certainly a combination. Maybe 1 is not enough, but 2? Do you need 6, 12 before you finally said, let's put this on? That's what I have to say. How many do you need?
Well,
I'm
first
asking
of all,
you.
I don't think I would compare this to domestic violence.
Well, I'm comparing it. Okay,
but
fine.
having
I-
said- but
I'm
having
talking about legally.
But having
It-
said that, I don't think there my guess is there isn't a defined amount of times. We need
You
somebody
have
that's
to
going
define
to
it.
turn around and show us that he's operating
But
a business.
if you're waiting for the zoning commissioner to see it happening, we're out of luck.
No, we didn't say.
I
did
thought
any
you
of us
said
say
that.
We needed Nate to see it?
I thought you said that he has to be called to actually then,
No,
well, how many complaints do you need before you this commission makes a decision?
I can tell you
It's-
right now, it's more than, me personally, the other three can speak for themselves, it's more than 2 over a 60-day period for a grand total of 3 hours.
Well, so do you think 3? I mean, so at some point you have to make that
I don't
decision.
think you're going to get us to give you an exact
Okay,
amount of
okay,
hours.
I'm not
and that
asking
amount
for
of
an
time.
exact, but at some point, you're going to have to make a decision and look at the whole picture over the course of all this time. Not just for the last 3 months, it's been going on for longer. So look at the whole picture. That's what we're asking for, just a decision. That's it.
Going back to the activity, you're only going 3 months. How about the 9 months before it? You're going backwards now 3 months. Let's go back the whole year, the whole
I'm going
body
back
of
to
work.
I'm going back to when you came before this board.
How about my complaint? Was it 1 year ago this month, almost to the day? There's a whole body of work.
Complaint went to the building.
Day after day after day, Nate was notified, the Board of Selectmen was notified, the town administrator was notified, day after day after day.
Here's a binder full of all the hundreds of pictures and complaints over the last year.
So, Paul, let's take a break for a second. I know there are other people out there who want to make comments, and obviously we need to make a decision as a board as to how we want to proceed from here. Does anybody else want to make any additional comments with new information other than what's already been presented by Paul?
Sherry Pinter, 9
Sherry, why don't you
School
walk to
Street.
the,
Oh, over there.
yeah, so we can hear you in the mic. We can hear you, but the folks on Lake Cam may want to hear you.
Sherry Pinter, 9 School Street. We're neighbors next to the Walshes. If you want to see something, there's a conveyor belt. Now, if anybody's using wood for their own personal use or for their family, they wouldn't need a conveyor belt. The pile of wood that's there is probably close to this line on the ceiling. It's enormous. Plus, there are logs laying there. I can see everything that's going on there. He had cages. He shifted the cages. They were stacked. They're gone. I see some cages have come back. It's there. Who knew we had to continually complain to you? My understanding was this was just going to be continued to the next meeting. Not that we had to continue telling you. My husband and I know the Simonsons sent in a video to the building inspector showing that he was doing it just like Paul has done. So there's evidence. Somebody needs to come and look at that evidence. I don't know if the building inspector did. I invited him to come to my house, look out the back and see what's back there. So he's moved it from the front to the back, so it's closer to the Turners and all the people on Ledgewood Drive, and I have a visual, so I know what's happening. And whether he was doing it in the snow or not, I don't know. There's no snow there now. There's a huge pile, and the conveyor belt is still there. He doesn't need a conveyor belt for home wood, and he does not burn wood. He doesn't.
Anyone else have any comments? I want to get everybody else and then we'll come back to you. Come on up.
Hi, I live across the street, 12 School Street. Going on 9 years in Lakeville, and we've decided,
Name for the record.
oh, Monique Began. We haven't complained because we're being harassed. We're being videotaped at this point every time we're in our front yard. The harassment, I haven't opened my blinds since January, so we've decided we're selling the house. How am I going to sell the house with the way this looks? It's toxic. Toxic with 20 by 10 foot signs, no wood for sale. We've never said there was wood for sale. We're complaining about the truck leaving. I go to work, I leave at 5 a.m. When I'm getting ready at 4 a.m. in the morning, he's leaving with cords of wood. lights off, headlights off, and rolling out at 4 AM to do deliveries. I can't take it anymore. I can't live there anymore. It's toxic, absolute toxicity. And that's all I have to say. And this has not been going on for just a year. The complaint came a year ago. This was on the front of their yard, which affected us the most. Went on for a year and a half before it went to the back. So this is going on 2.5 to 3 years that we've been dealing with this, and I've had it. Can't do it anymore. Can't enjoy my yard. It's terrible.
Thank you. Anyone else before I go back to the call? Come on up, ma'am.
Grace Turner, 1 Ledgewood Drive. I just want to say that if any wood was really being processed for personal use, there would be no need for a conveyor belt, as I know people have already said this. But when you say that it's only been 2 times in the last 30 days, only for an hour, 1 day, and 45 minutes, turning the conveyor belt on at all constitutes commercial use. There is no personal reason for a conveyor belt to load the wood up, to drop it into the big giant truck. That's not for personal use. Personal use stays on the property. Turning the machine on at all, inside my home, in the middle of the winter, the doors, windows shut and locked, I could not escape that sound of that conveyor belt. And that video was playing very low. It's a lot louder than that in my house. I was standing in my living room, tried to go into the kitchen, the furthest point away, with all my windows locked. I could not get away from that sound at all. And I had nowhere to go to escape it for that 1 little hour that you're talking about. So anytime that machine goes on, anytime, and we're not complaining about a chainsaw, someone using a chainsaw 1 day to cut down a tree. This is a commercial chainsaw that goes in and in and in over and over loudly. This isn't somebody cutting wood for personal use. Anytime that machine goes on, it's commercial.
I just had a quick clarification question. So is the chainsaw handheld, or is it some type of mechanized, like,
Oh, no.
systematic
It's handheld.
cutting?
I built houses for a number of years. Scott Johnson Land Clearing cleared probably well over 100 house lots for me. I would be on site all the time. They would have 24, 30-inch bar lengths. I didn't have ear protection. I could stand 10, 20 feet away, have a conversation with someone else while they were working, while they're doing cutting on the edge. What is Mr. Walsh has out there, I don't know if it's modified or what, but it is a 24, probably 30-inch blade, and the way he attacks the wood, he lines up the log lengths, either the 8-foot or the 16-foot lengths, and it's as fast as he can get it through, then he lifts up. Rum, rum, rum. Then he goes over 16 inches, again, the whole length from here to the wall. Then he stops. Then he takes his skid steer, who needs a skid steer to produce firewood for personal use? Grabs another log. Again.
Yeah.
It's not someone cutting a tree and then limbing it and then cutting into length.
Well, the reason I asked was the video seemed to convey that it's just a continual
It's because
sound of cutting.
he has
So
large diameter
For me, it was
logs.
kind of hard to imagine like manually cutting
Oh,
at that rate.
The one thing I can say about Mr. Walsh, he's the hardest worker I've seen in years. He doesn't stop. So yeah, that saw is very heavy, and it's as fast as you can get it through, he starts again. It's almost like you said, you think it is a machine, but it's him.
Yeah. Do you happen to know, like, typically, someone that is in the commercial firewood production business, is it seasonal? Is production less as you go into spring and warmer months, and then it gears up as you get into
He's
August,
busier
fall.
during the spring, summer, and fall. So if you picture someone that's, 2026 heating season is coming to an end, so I assume someone that burns wood is finishing off the wood they purchased in
Yeah.
'25. So they're not going to call him now to come dump a load at the end of the driveway, maybe
Correct.
now because the driveway is clear of snow.
Right.
But in the next week, 5 months, 3 months, they're going to call him. So they're going to dump it at the end of their driveway, and then they're going to stack it and dry it, ready for the '27 season. So it's going to start. This whole backyard is full of log links. He's waiting to go.
Yeah. So in your opinion, you have to produce now to satisfy demand, if there is a demand for,
I assume, I'm not quite sure how he operates, but he did not stop operating the entire year last year.
yeah,
Again, direct correlation with when I first called Kathy at the town hall, the week of the 12th, activity went down, right down. I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
Well, you put your initial complaint into Nate in the spring of last year, correct?
March of '28, yep.
Right?
20 March of 25.
Right about where we are at this point.
That's correct.
So if he is going to start it up again, if he hasn't already, he's ready to start it up. So that's my point about if we give it.
I understand, John,
You don't
but
need to do another 30 days, and then it makes it nice and clean and simple. Listen, you're out there 4 to 5 days a week, you're doing exactly what everyone's accusing you of doing, and that.
But
point,
I don't
put
understand-
the cease and desist back in place.
don't understand why we have to go backwards. That's not fair. It should just put it in. And so what is the loss if we put it in place? Hopefully he doesn't work. Hopefully no one has to use it. Let's put it in place. Why can't we put it in place?
So, listen, I'm one person on a board.
I understand.
Hang on.
May I read something also?
One more person, come up, you had your hand up, sir, right? Yeah, come on up. Then I'll let you read what you have into the record, and then we'll discuss whether we're gonna
Okay.
take action today,
Okay.
this evening or not, so.
I don't have much to add, but I live right across the street. You guys know me, right? Elvis, I was here last time.
Right.
And I've tried to make peace with him, tried to like slow it down, and walked over there last week. Now there's like a big black thing and covering the whole property and all kinds of junk in the front. And last time I had mentioned looked like a crack house. Now they built a sign that says, it's not a crack house, it's a crack hole. But on the conveyor belt thing, there's a splitter that goes before that. It splits it up, goes up the conveyor belt, and then it drops it into those big boxes that he just got more delivered. And he's got a whole load of logs in the back. He just moved it in the back, put that black thing up, covered it up. In the morning, he leaves with a full truck. Nobody saw it, nobody sees it. It's nighttime. But now that we have cameras, we can see it. So, and then I find unbelievable that only 2 people complained, because it has slowed down. Okay, we did get a lot of snow, but it's still going on, you know, like little, but it, like he said, now it's gonna pick up. We got the big signs out there saying we don't sell wood, all that, and it just looks horrible. And if this doesn't get to a resolve, me and my wife are ready to sell the house and move. But if we put the house up for sale, who's gonna wanna live across the street from that, sir?
Unfortunately, we don't have any control over people putting signs up.
I know,
Black-
but-
I've driven by, I know exactly what you're talking about. I
Okay.
do not think it looks appealing at
No,
all myself, but
and-
unfortunately,
and
a couple
we're out
things that
there.
were brought up, that we can't control that.
Yes, sir, I understand
And,
that,
The other thing is,
but,
the byproduct of what he's doing, the noise levels.
yes, sir.
That has Board of Health, I mean. well,
Yes, sir.
That's, if that's too loud.
If,
Board of Health-
if it's gonna keep on going, me and my wife, we're gonna move. That's our
Well,
dream
I hope
home.
we come to some resolution so you don't have to.
You know, we're taxpayers, we don't bother anybody. Everybody in the neighborhood likes us. I try to help everybody as I can, you know, but there's no resolving across the street. I put my tail between my legs last week, and I walked over there just to like, can we talk? Can we make a resolution? And it was just screaming and spitting, and I stayed calm. I walked away. I was like, okay. So it's on you guys' hands. I totally get that, you know, there's so much you can do, but there's stuff that you can do. Imagine if you lived across the street. Just imagine, you guys, you ma'am, if you lived across the street. I'm about to be a grandpa.
She's secretary.
Oh, whatever.
She doesn't have a vote, so.
Just imagine whoever living across the street from that. I just found out I'm about to be a grandpa.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And I don't want that, you know? That was my dream home, you know? Calm, peaceful, in the woods. I got my chickens, my pigeons. Like I said, everybody's nice. We used to get along, but then once that started, everything just, you know.
Understood.
But I'm still trying to make peace, but there's no resolution. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I hope you guys,
Come on up. Yeah.
I hope you guys make the right decision. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll let you go, and then Paul, you can wrap it up, and the board will decide what action they're going to take.
Joshua Faraday, 4 Johnson Drive, for the record. I just want to speak a little bit about Chapter 40A and the board's ability to make a determination here. Under Massachusetts zoning law, the distinction between a permissible accessory residential use and a prohibited commercial use turns not on a single factor, excuse me, but on the overall character of the activity evaluated through its scale, intensity, frequency, and relationship to the primary residential use. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law 40A, municipalities are empowered to regulate land uses and enforce local zoning bylaws, with the building commissioner making initial determination, the zoning board of appeals reviewing those decisions de novo. Within this framework, an accessory use is one that customarily incidental and subordinate to the principal residential use, meaning that it must both commonly associate with residential living and a clearly secondary in nature in impact. By contrast, a commercial use is generally understood to involve ongoing business-like activity characterized by operation, production, or processing of goods, use, or specialized equipment, and patterns of distribution or transport regardless of whether direct financial transaction can be proven. Massachusetts courts consistently emphasize that the inquiry is functional rather than formalistic. The critical question is not whether there is proof of sale, advertisement, or formal business structure.
Can I
Yep.
jump for 1 second?
Go ahead.
Mr. Turner has already spoken to this point, so if you want to just reiterate.
Let me-
Make a point that you want to.
Sure.
Mr. Turner, please do so, because we
I'll-
can't have people repeating the same things over and over again.
Understood. Let me skip to my last section, just another minute. Accordingly, a municipality need not establish direct evidence of profit or complete sales to determine that a commercial use exists.
Sir, you're repeating yourself, so.
I would
Anything new to add?
I would say that adding the findings that Mr. Turner has laid out would give your building commissioner direct control on enforcing the residential zoning in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, Paul.
So, I was kind of right in the middle, cut off, so I'll go as fast as I can, but I've spent a lot of time on this the past 2 weeks putting together, and I'd like to present it. I want it part of the record. So, I did bring the printout, the submittal to tonight. If you want to take a copy each person, and I can tell you what page I'm on, or else you want to just listen to me, you can just listen. But the books are right next to Kathy. You already passed them out? I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Yep.
Okay, page 5, the letter of March 15th, 2026. Core issue, the appeal concerns land use, not whether a point of sale can be proven. Massachusetts courts consistently hold zoning regulates the activities occurring in the land itself, not business arrangements, not where money changes hands, not whether a business entity exists. SCIT is concerned with the use of the locus, not the business arrangements that may occur elsewhere. Critical inquiry is the activity occurring on land itself. Lawrence versus Northborough, the accessory use must be customary, incidental, and subordinate. So I think the board does get all that. So we'll move forward. Page 6. I want to clear the difference between incidental personal transfer of firewood and commercial exporting. Homeowners may give small amounts of firewood to family or transport modest quantities for personal use. Such activity typically involves a pickup truck or a small trailer, homeowner trailer, not a Ford F-550 commercial dump truck designed for large-scale hauling. The Commissioner now has permission to view the rear of 11 School Street from 4 abutting properties. Skimming down, I want to be clear. I understand that many Lakeville residents produce their own firewood, and that is normal. Residential zoning is designed to protect quiet enjoyment, stability, and character of the neighbors by preventing commercial-scale operations from intruding into residential districts. Several residents on School Street heat their homes with firewood, something I know simply from observing smoke escaping from their chimneys during the heating season, not because they produce firewood year-round. Page 7, page 8, we'll go to page 9. Purpose of the appeal. Reinstate the building commissioner's cease and desist order and issue clear findings distinguishing accessory residential use from commercial activity. Legal basis, zoning regulates use, not business. Again, SCIT, Prudential, Butler. Identity of the business model is irrelevant. Zoning regulates the use. Page 10. Enforcement based on on-site operations, Fitzgerald. Enforcement focuses on the physical acts on the land. This is important. Enforcement focuses on physical acts on the land. Wendy's, operations conducted on the site. Statutory authority under Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 8 and 15. ZBA has full authority to interpret the zoning bylaw, determine whether a use is residential, accessory, commercial, reinstate enforcement orders, issue findings necessary for consistent enforcement.
So Paul, I know you've put a lot of time and effort into this, and I can appreciate that. I think we all understand on this board that our decision at this point is, do we feel at this point there's commercial use going on and that we need to turn around and overturn the building commissioner's decision? Again, I tend to agree with Nate to give it another little bit of time here, but I'm one of 4, so.
Could I ask one more question regarding what constitutes a commercial operation here? Is there a piece of equipment specifically? Is there another piece of equipment?
Are you asking me, or are you asking in general?
I'm asking anyone who could answer the question.
Here you go.
I think there's multiple. I think there's a large truck.
You can't stop
Front
operating
and
a truck.
loader. The front and loader.
Front. I think there's a variety of things on that property from an equipment standpoint.
No one's saying you can't have a large truck, but you can't fill it with wood and export it from your property.
And no one can say you can't stop using a chainsaw,
I didn't say to stop the chainsaw. I've never said that.
right? So what's going to stop a commercial operation? Is that like a conveyor belt?
That's a conveyor belt, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. You want that. Is that, if you set a cease and desist on the conveyor belt, does that kind of limit his commercial operability?
Yes, he can let it sit on the property, don't turn it on, exactly. So when you turn it on, that's in my findings.
Okay. Bobcat? Is that a commercial use?
It is when you pick up the logs, so you move them around the property so you can saw them. Yes, it is. He trucks in 20-foot long logs, 20 inches in diameter.
Bobcat and conveyor, right?
That's correct.
Is there anything else that shows something other than a conveyor or a bobcat or a truck? 550 truck?
No, sir. I mean, this is a firewood business.
I'm just asking a question, Mr. Turner. Without me going through every picture. Again. It's obviously-
Any questions, any thoughts?
mean, my thought is, I don't think I need any more convincing on kind of the drive of what's going on there, and it might exceed the residential use. I'm just more concerned about the most appropriate way to enforce it.
Can I make a motion here? Sure. I'd like to make a motion to reinstate the cease and desist letter. Binding around the use of operation, those two pieces of equipment that would make it more of a commercial operation. One is the conveyor, two is the bobcat. And that would be the restriction, I would say, for the use on that property, and that would be part of the cease and desist.
So to reinstitute the cease and desist with the two pieces of equipment that cannot be used on that property are the bobcat and the
No.
conveyor. That's what your motion is. Paul, it's his motion.
Sorry.
That's correct.
You have a motion.
I will second that.
Second. So now we get to discuss it. I think
I'd like to have more language around the use. I mean, I agree with the equipment part, but maybe also what it's used for, and any other uses that are deemed more commercial than not be added to it? If there's anything we missed?
Mike, let us talk
Yeah.
about it for a second.
Do you have any
I want to be
specific
careful how I
comment?
go here, 'cause you know this, Paul, when we're in the middle of the.
I just, the meeting's not closed, that's all I want to
It's not
know.
close enough.
Thank you.
So,
Probably language around the exporting of the wood.
so.
So whether or not he has 10 residential trucks pull up at once versus a one
So
550,
you're
I mean,
looking to build in some language that says he can't export anything from property.
or something deemed residential.
How do you restrict that use? I mean, he could.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we have, that's what I'm struggling with.
You can certainly take anything else off his property into a 550 truck and transport it somewhere. You know, if
I'm sorry, I have a finding
sticks
space.
one piece of firewood, does that violate the restriction, or does the cease and desist order? Right?
Depends on how we craft it, I believe.
Exactly. I just think it's harder to bound.
I think you're saying if you stop using the big stuff, you can only produce so much.
Exactly.
If you're taking it off, you're not going to be able to take
I
off
think
that
it's a
much.
reasonable restriction to limit his operation to just personal use. And I think that's our goal here,
Perfect.
Correct.
correct?
Yeah.
So I do have one question as far as the bobcat goes. The problem with I'm not saying to take the bobcat off. I mean, are we saying strictly enforcement, you can't use the bobcat only for wood, the cutting and moving of wood? You're using it to clear snow, I want to make sure we don't put something in place where it's going to turn around and say you can't restrict that.
Yeah,
much.
there's a lot of uses for
Yeah, you
for
can
a
Right.
use a
bobcat.
bobcat to
Like,
put a garden in.
it's a
Yeah.
it can be a glorified wheelbarrow,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I just want to make sure we don't
Yeah,
grab
that's-
something that's going to
Right.
get shot down and say.
That's why I want to put in the relation of the processing of wood, not just the
Yeah,
equipment
So
itself.
those equipment, obviously, the big piece, that's only used for wood, so there's nothing else that I would assume you can use it for.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the mechanism that is the attachment to the bobcat that picks up big logs would be, I'm just sorry, I'm very rudimentary.
Any type of
Big
wood process.
Yeah,
Any type of wood
That
process.
grabber.
Make a big
The grabber, short claw, whatever
Grappling.
language we want to use to describe it, that thing would not be in use with the bobcat.
Bobcat cannot be used for any.
Bobcat's not the issue.
Any portion of making,
And not to replace
the
it with
process.
any other equipment.
Can I be devil's advocate here for a second? So what would prevent somebody from not using the conveyor belt to process wood, but to just merely run it?
But the wood that
What's
he's
the other,
cutting.
ma'am? Unfortunately, we can't just have people
Say,
yell in the audience for a
go-
variety of reasons.
I get it.
One of them is because they can't hear you on lake cam, so public meetings.
To me, Chris, there's no residential use on
Right, okay,
a
yep,
conveyor.
right, no, I
Are you saying,
totally,
is there any
I
other use other
agree.
than, is there anything else they could use that for? I don't think so.
outside of, I mean, I could think of uses. But I don't think you could have anything other than a commercial use for conveying. That's,
Right, no, I agree.
so.
All right, any other discussion? I want to recognize Paul in a second, but
Sure.
any other questions in regards?
I guess my only fear to that is he might just use the chainsaw more just to bother people. And this really isn't helping.
No, well, I mean,
I can address all that.
then,
Can,
go ahead.
real quick, you're right, he can. I mean, if he's gonna be a bad neighbor, he could be a bad neighbor. He could be a bad neighbor through 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock, whenever you can start work, till 11 o'clock at night. Those are the hours of operation.
That's correct.
So they can't do anything about that.
Yeah,
But if he wants to act like a
If it's
bad
too loud,
neighbor-
if he's using it too much, there's noise ordinances. You
Yes.
go to Board of
But
Board of
those
Health.
only
We
apply
can't,
for-
like I said, and Elvis came up with this, we have a kind of a very narrow focus on what we can.
That was sort of my point with like operating the conveyor belt
You
without.
can't restrict the chainsaw. That's my opinion, right? So if he's operating from 11 PM to 7 AM, that's a noise violation. That's a different method to handle,
Yeah.
right? But to your point, Chris, I don't know if you had other things you wanted to add beyond what I put in the motion, but you said you had a couple of things you wanted to.
Well, I guess I would just make it, I just want it to be more encompassing though, so it actually stops the processing of wood overall.
I think the goal, correct me if I'm wrong, is if we pick the two things that are gonna stop you from processing it from a commercial standpoint, like you're never gonna be able to stop it, we can't stop him from processing it. I mean, I guess if he wants to turn around and hand move everything and get rid of some of the big equipment, he could still do that, but you're not gonna be able to run the same type of an operation without, the larger equipment that he has, so.
This is really-
You wanna add before I? Go ahead, Paul.
If you turn in the booklet to page 19 and 20, I have findings for adoption. Finding 1, finding 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They spell out exactly what you just were talking about. Maybe we can use this for discussion. Finding 1, activities on the property constitute commercial use. The board finds that the physical operations occurring at 11 School Street, including year-round processing, staging, loading, exporting large quantities of firewood, constitutes a commercial use within a residential zone. Zoning regulates the use of the land, not business arrangements or point-of-sale activity. Finding 2, loading of a commercial dump truck. Finding 3, operation of a commercial conveyor belt is a commercial use. Finding number 4, exporting processed firewood is a commercial use. If we could get these findings in place, he might just keep running the saw to do what he wants, but eventually, if you cut him off from the way he makes money, eventually he's going to have to go get a job. He's going to have to go get a real job or move his operation where it's properly zoned.
I'm pretty sure what Jerry suggested, the conveyor belt is gonna be the ultimate.
I think that's pretty much a limiting factor for him to process wood. So I'm comfortable the way it's worded, this motion, but I'm open to suggestions from other members.
Just for the record, if this was to go forward and we were to agree and vote to reinstitute the cease and desist with these 2 points on it, I would make sure council reviews it and that we are doing it the right way, so we don't run into a problem later. I mean, we have the concept of what we want to do.
Yeah, we could certainly put, if you're saying add the wording pending legal
Yeah.
review and
Yeah.
approval, then sure, I'll amend the motion to include that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's necessarily need to, I just want to,
Yep.
we leave here today, I'm making sure this is run by someone smarter and more,
Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman, what are you saying about me?
I'm saying about all of us, so.
Smarter.
Yes, Paul.
So when I came here tonight, I asked for the cease and desist to be reinstated and the findings for adoption. So are we going to have any discussion on what my findings for adoption, what I'm proposing?
I think the board is comfortable with the direction we're going in. Obviously,
So-
the board's going to make the decision, Paul. It's not going to be what.
But isn't that going to be open for discussion? I mean, I think I know a lot more about the property, that the Bobcat is not an issue. That doesn't bother me. It's the conveyor belt and the exporting of the truck. And again, the exporting is difficult to document digitally or watch, or you're going to have to, even if you have a picture of it and the load is covered, it's hard to say. The argument's always going to be that, Judge, it wasn't firewood, it was trash.
So would that finding even help in that case, then?
If you read finding number 2, loading of a
Yeah,
commercial...
that's what I was looking at.
Yeah, sure. The board finds that loading a commercial...
Oh,
crate-
no, I did read that, but I'm saying, like, if he can always kind of evade the proof part of
But
it.
the thing is, if you read this, it's a commercial use if you're doing it right on the property. There's no reason to put 3.5 cord into a
No,
into a truck.
I completely agree with you, but what you just said was that he could kind of evade proof regardless. Like, I agree with finding number 2, and I would like to add that to the motion. But what I'm saying is, from an enforcement standpoint,
But at that point, he would be in the actual process. It takes him 4 or 5 hours to load up the truck with that much. So someone could email Nate, he's in the process, so that's 9 o'clock. So Nate doesn't have to drop everything he wants. He's got a huge window, 3, 4, 5 hours. He could ride down, he has a cease and desist on the property, so he has permission to go on the property. He could walk right up to Mr. Walsh and say, you have been told that this is a parameter.
How does
You
he
can't do that.
currently load the dump truck?
Either by hand, by hand,
By hand, yeah.
by hand.
Okay.
And the loader.
And the loader too, but
Belts.
let me finish. Many times, he will cut all the wood like I told you described, and then he'll sit there with a splitter that he stands up, and he will chuck it. I have videos of it.
Okay.
So you can hear the process going on. It takes 2, 3, again, 4 hours, depending on how much he's putting 1, 2, 3 cords, whatever his order is for that
Generally,
load.
type of truck, I tend to believe what the audience is, I guess in this case it works out, is yelling out that he's using Bobcat, and he's using the conveyor.
He also
For the most part.
Yeah.
So-
Probably 99, maybe not 99, but the majority of the time he's not sitting there throwing it in.
so if we could add the loader,
A lot of times he is.
If you stop the other 2, that's probably going to stop.
If he automates the process by using the conveyor or bulks it by using
That's how it's
Bobcat,
Yeah,
I would say that's how I would approach it,
yeah.
but by hand, I think that would be just.
what if we also cut it off at the legs with the loading of the commercial truck regardless?
Then-
Even that would stop almost everything, because you can't load it into a commercial truck, regardless if you use the conveyor belt or...
There you go. Yes.
Wasn't looking for
So
applause.
wait a minute. So if there's a guy who's a plumber and he's loading his tools into his commercial truck, he can't do that?
Well, no, I'm saying if there's a big dump truck and he's loading wood in all day, then we can stop,
But he can load his commercial truck with other stuff that's not firewood.
Yes, he
correct?
can.
Oh, no, I'm saying just prohibit we're trying to prohibit
Not a piece of wood can go into that truck?
I think we'd have to word it appropriately, and it would have to be gone through legal, but
I mean,
to me, it's the export of the wood that's also kind of the big tell. I mean,
What's the threshold by which it's too much wood going into the truck?
well, that's what maybe legal says, okay, so many cords.
Where's it going?
Where is it going? Why would...
I think the simple.
I think that's a tough one to,
It's a tough one to quantify.
Yeah.
It is easy to quantify, don't use that and don't use that.
right,
That's pretty simple.
Right.
I think we start with simple.
black and white as
Yeah.
opposed to gray.
There's nothing that prevents us from coming back and
That's right.
adding more to it, right? So
Fully
if we want to,
Yes.
I think we're going to.
If he continues to operate with the dump truck by hand, I mean, God bless him, but if it continues to be a noise issue for the neighbors, then they should come back and file the complaint and we revisit the dump truck.
The issue is the disturbance of the neighbors, in my opinion, right? And whether he's throwing it in by hand, 1 cord, 2 cords, a half a cord.
Sure.
Okay? The real issue, everything you've shown us for videos and everything everyone's talked about here has to do with the sound of the chainsaw, the loading of it on the conveyor belt, the moving of, nothing to do with a truck starting up and leaving and coming. He shouldn't be doing that, I understand that, but I think if we get rid of the 2 big items, it's nice and clean and simple, we don't have to say how much wood is too much wood, how much are you doing or aren't you doing. If he figures out a workaround, we come back and deal with the workaround.
John?
I agree. I agree.
I mean, that,
I'll give you one more question, Paul.
Last one, okay. There's no reason for the wood to leave the property. You're saying load the truck, put trash in it, put furniture in it, put dirt in it, anything you want. But why do you have to put 3-quarter wood into it? Why would it leave? That's exceeding the accessory use.
So could Mr. Walsh bring wood to his friends?
I addressed that in my letter.
He asked a question, could he bring it to his friends? Could he bring 3 cords of wood to me if I was his friend?
3 cords. So that would be a pretty good friend, because that's a lot of money. That's $1,500. Okay, so, or he gives some to you, and then he gives some to you, and some to you.
Yeah.
I mean, let's all use our heads. He's not giving it away $1,500 loads.
My point is, we don't know exactly what that number is that he should or shouldn't do. This isn't as simple as somebody's holding a gun to someone's head to try to rob a bank, to steal your analogy, right? We don't know how much it is. I do agree, if he's using that conveyor belt on a regular basis, that's the equivalent of holding someone's gun to someone's head. We know they're robbing the bank. I don't know whether a half a cord, a full, where he's going with this, who he's...
It should be-
I think if we turn around and put in place what you said, Jerry, that should restrict it enough that it's going to stop the use.
And as far as I am aware, from watching and listening, there's been no evidence produced that he's actually selling and collecting proceeds from the sale of firewood. No one's proven that.
Right, but the point is, I don't know if that's necessarily a commercial operation, so.
Just because he's using equipment, I get it,
Yeah.
but no one's really proven the fact that he's operating a business out of the house.
So, well, I think we should probably.
That doesn't have to be proven, I'm sorry. The use doesn't have to be proven.
Oh, you have. We don't. So we have a motion. You want to?
Oh, my God.
Your motion, just to make sure we have the content correct, so I can make sure we.
I would like to reinstate the cease and desist motion with the parameters around discontinuing the use of the conveyor belt and the bobcat with the log, for the attachment to move logs at 11 School Street. Okay?
I second that.
Upon legal review approval, of course, yes.
Yep.
Do we have any further discussion amongst the board members? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Talk to council tomorrow, make sure we draft it correctly, coordinate the date, and if there's any reason that we need to do something different, we'll be on the next agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, good night, thank you.
Did you take pictures?
Is it 45 degrees in the freaking breeze? It is cold? Yeah, I kind of run hot though, but yeah, it is cold.
That's what we're here for. Okay, what's next?
But you have to say chop chop.
Was it over already? You chose four. By the way, I would like to be
All right, next agenda item. Rubidoux Cornerstone Church hearing 111 Highland Road. So, let's get that. This up, just take two sides, please. Okay, Lakeville Zoning Board of Appeals, acting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 48, as amended, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, March 26, 7 p.m. in the Lakeville Public Library, 4 Precinct Street, on the petition of Lawrence Rubidoux. I apologize if I mispronounced that. That's okay. A special permit is requested under Section 270.6.6 and Section 277.4 to allow the replacement of an existing sign with an LED message board on 111 Highland Road, the site owned by Elton Baptist Church, Cornerstone Community Church. Application and assorted documents can be viewed by the planning department. So, I'm assuming you're here on behalf of the
Yes.
petitioner, so why don't you tell us what you're looking to do? I think it's pretty self-evident, and I can get my papers in order to read.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
So basically, the objective is to upgrade the sign that exists, that has been in place since 1988, from what I understand, to an LED sign that is much easier to change the lettering. At this point, you have to use a cylinder key on both sides. You have to lift the plexiglass, you have to get your head on, let it rest on your back, change the letters, put them in, you know the zero. And then you back up, and see if it's spaced correctly, okay? And so that's the way it's been. That's the way, that was the standard. And the idea behind that is, we had great weather, good example. Try to do that in the winter we just had. Now, most of the people are elderly in this church. Bear that in mind as well, and we're really trying to plan for the future. So what this would enable us to do is to be able to change that lettering remotely. And if we have an Easter service, welcome the community and let them know what time it's going to be. If there's an event for the community to come in, the church is providing for the women to, craft night or something, they can announce that to the people. And it's not such a big ordeal. We've had instances where the sign has had the lettering up there 3 months because we hadn't been able to get somebody to get out there and do it. So the idea is really to it's part of a church restoration process, really, and getting it current with what people are doing now. I know of other churches that are doing this, and it just keeps it easier to keep it current. You can put the whole calendar up, you can alter it if need be. It is changed through a cellular tower. You can dim the lights at any given time on a timer. It automatically dims during dusk, so it's not going to blare anyone. It's a different brilliance during the day than it is at night. But it just gives the flexibility to keep things current and let the church be seen for what it is being alive and not a dead church. In this area, so that people can see that the church is active and not stagnant, and that we're very welcoming for the community. So the objective is to make that easier to change the messages or the lettering, which it really is a message board already. It's just a manual message board.
So, just for the record, I'm assuming you're Lawrence.
Lawrence Rubio, yes, 11 Cheshire Drive.
So, let me read a couple of memos into the record for this. One from the planning board dated March 23rd. At their Thursday, March 12th meeting, the planning board reviewed the above referenced petition for hearing from the zoning board of appeals. The board voted to send a letter to the zoning boards recommending the applicant confirm the existing sign bylaw, conform, to the existing sign bylaw in the following 4 items within it. Electronic message shall not be more than 12 feet. There will be no illumination 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. The sign shall not abut residential properties on the side or across the street. Internally illuminated signs greater than 24 feet are prohibited. So looking at the design you sent to us, I think we're all set on the...
Yeah, it's the same size.
Yeah, first item, I'm assuming it will not be, it'll comply with the no illumination 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Absolutely.
The only question, and I know where the sign is, so you're all set on the
Yeah.
residential properties and
Mhm.
internally illuminated. The only question I had is, right now it is a message board. You're saying it's going to continue to be a message board.
Correct.
Is it going to have any other type of graphics on it, where it will have like characters or like?
Well, nothing strobe-like. We can adhere to whatever the rules need be, okay? Now, you could put some sort of image, yes, you could. It's not going to be a strobe image. And again, you can address the contrast, brilliance, and all of that.
Yeah, my concern is with these signs, we just want to make sure it's not something that's changing quickly or that.
Oh, no, no, no.
People are going to get distracted by that.
Agreed,
That's what I'm
agreed.
so.
Agreed. No, that would be a very slow, change rate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Within reason, because we don't have that many things going on.
Right. If you will, we'll get to the sign change. So, the other memo is from the, who's this from? Oh, conservation. And Concom doesn't have any concerns about the proposed signage at 111 Highland Road, so you're all set with that.
Great.
I don't have any additional questions. I don't see any problem with basically updating this sign and bringing it to 2026, so.
Right.
Anybody else have other questions or?
I'm just curious if the signage is only for the church business?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to- the sign is only
That's what the sign, that's the banner on top.
Like I said, that's what it's supposed to be, so we're just clarifying that for the record.
Yes.
It should be-
Church usage,
I got one quick question for you.
sure.
So I'm just looking at the sign.
Correct.
Is this like a static?
Yes, that's a
message?
banner, more or less, it would be
Right.
static, correct.
So this.
That is the
portion here
area, exactly.
Would be changing.
From basically fluorescent backlit
Yep,
manual letters to that. It's just simply a different means,
yep,
same function.
yep. Do you have like just a dimension of the actual LED?
It's 4 by 8, it's the same,
I see
it's
it's
the,
4 by 8, yeah, but I
it's-
mean, I don't know what the actual screen size is that is actually changing in the picture.
right. I believe that's 4 by 8.
Well, this whole thing is 4 by 8.
Okay, on there, okay, so it's actually going to be,
So it's going to
it
be
possibly
some
might,
subset of 4 feet.
okay, that's
So it should
total.
probably like
The
3
current,
feet or less.
from what I think right now it's 4 by 8 as far as the lit area, from what I understand. So we can verify that. But they knew what the dimensions
Yes,
were.
it's probably 2.5 or 3 feet.
It's not much,
It's not very big.
no.
Yeah. I'm okay.
Okay,
Anybody
no
else?
worries.
Any comments from the audience? Jeff, come on up to the mic there, name and address for the.
Rich Shepik, 110 Highland. I guess my only concern is LEDs can be very evasive. It's just, I know you said you could dim it, it dims at dusk, but I might ask that you might look at maybe turning it off at maybe 9 as opposed to
We
11,
can-
because
We could definitely,
it's really just still a residential area. I mean, they roll up the streets here at 8
Right.
o'clock. I mean,
right.
you know, and that's more of a residential area versus being on 18.
Right.
Where we have some of the new LED signs that are very, very
Right.
bright.
You have the option to dim it at whatever contrast, so it could either be completely off, or it can be, you know, just very dimly lit, so that it's
Yeah.
not, it's just not a distraction.
That's the only thing I would add, just,
So
Yeah.
our
That's-
bylaw, sir, is 11 PM.
11,
Say.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, again-
I just heard him say something about 9, and you kind of, it sounded like you were kind of, yeah, we could adjust that, are you?
Well, I would say if I'm just speaking on my own behalf, I'm not,
Right.
okay. We would make it so that the contrast or the brilliance of it would not be a hindrance.
okay. Because I was talking to my other neighbor who's like directly right across from that.
We-
And I don't have a direct angle to it,
Yeah,
but LEDs,
they can be
they can be
extremely bright.
very,
Yeah.
That's
and
all
it-
we would
and it
ask.
I actually spoke with the manufacturer of the sign company yesterday, and they said you can have it at any given brilliance,
okay.
and that can be on a timer. And that can be either a lower brilliance during the evening,
Mhm.
or you can take it all the way down to nothing.
Okay.
So
That's the
whatever-
only concern we really had,
Right,
so.
and I'm sure that we would be very accommodating to.
I get it. And I appreciate you wanting to get your message out, so I
Oh,
have
no
no
doubt.
problem with that,
You
so.
know, it's definitely a good thing.
Thanks.
I think we got another contestant here.
Quick,
Sure.
Marion McCarroll, I live on County Street. My neighbors on the other side, they have a lovely sign for their doggy daycare. I just don't like LED in such a beautiful area. And I also live with that intersection is becoming a nightmare. If you come up Highland Road anytime after 3 o'clock, maybe, push it to 4, the line's all the way down the street. And it's beep, people pull, it's a crazy intersection. You live there, right? It's very, very dangerous. I think it's a distraction, practically. Another thing to look at or to look away from. That's just my point. If it does go ahead, I think it should be off completely by 9 o'clock. When
By
Mr.
9 o'clock.
By 9 PM off. We
Yeah.
don't need
All of
lights
that
in
can be-
Lakeville after 9 o'clock. Everybody that uses that route will see it 50,000 times a month.
That's
They'll go by it. Nothing bright. Nothing's wrong with a little bit of light
Right.
in the back with a few black letters.
Right.
But,
Right.
here we are. It's just
It's not-
kind of
doesn't-
lousy to put it
it
in
doesn't
such a lovely
strobe.
area. Excuse me?
It doesn't strobe.
No, it shouldn't do anything that's, someone might look at, distract in any way. It's a crazy intersection. If
Right.
anything, we need a blinking yellow light up there, or a blinking red, or something like that. And eventually, that will come, years to come, because it's just becoming so congested. I've lived there over 30 years, and it's, oh, yeah, the school, yeah, everything. It's just, it really is becoming, I'm so surprised there's not a lot more accidents up there. You can hear the screeching of the tires or anything, but at any point, the church is lovely, the property's lovely, I love your sign. I mean, we can all read. We don't need, that in our face. But I do
Right.
understand that you're trying to get people to come on.
Well-
It has to be as rural as possible.
I agree.
And what do we do if we're not happy with it? If we think
Well,
it's
we
too
can-
bright or
we
it's
can-
11:30?
Sir,
Okay.
just so you know, she talks to us.
All right.
Well, I'm just saying, do we have to come back here or just go, I said to Mr. Markson, when he put up the, what do you call them, storage units, he had those bright lights everywhere. And I just said, he shut them right off for me. They're not on in the street, you can see the whole thing nicely. So, and he planted beautiful trees in front of it, so I have no problem with that at all. So my issue is just that it's a rural area and it's a lovely church, and we'd like to keep it as close to that as possible. So, good luck.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Any other questions from us, or is? I'll make a motion to approve the special permit for the sign restrictions, or just comply with the, I would, no restriction, but I would hope that you would comply with the neighborhood's wishes, of course.
The sizing.
Size, I don't know. Pretty sure the sign that's there is. 4x8. Yeah, the sign is really bigger, so. All right, we have a motion to approve the special permit.
A second.
Have a second.
Yes, I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
You're all set. Kathy, what's the process for the help?
Works to 2 weeks to submit them to the town clerk, and it's a
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck. All right. Mike is scared all awake. I know. Everybody make me. Mike probably prefers that. So we get it straight. All right, as you're handing stuff out, Lakeville Zoning Board of Appeals, acting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 48, is amended, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, March 26, 2026, 7 p.m., Lakeville Public Library, 4 Precinct Street, on the petition of Campanelli. A special permit is requested under Section 276.1.c, Section 277.4, and Section 278.2a. 7, to allow the construction of a 29,400 square foot addition, which will increase the height nonconformity from 35.7 feet to 37.5 feet. The site is located in the industrial zone, 234 Kenneth Walsh Drive. Application and supporting documents were able to be moved at the planning department. Hello, Mike.
How you guys doing this evening?
We're doing good. I'm assuming you are representing the petitioner since you handed stuff out to us in a statement.
That would be correct. Again, for the record, Michael O'Shaughnessy, I'm an attorney with an office in Middleborough. With me tonight is Jeff Wyman from Campanelli. Campanelli has been hired to construct an addition at the property at 234 Kenneth Welch Drive. If you look at the aerial handout that I handed you, that's the existing building. It's approximately 35,000 square feet in area, plus or minus. It's on a 10-acre lot. It's used for cold storage right now. It's pre-existing non-conforming structure. When you apply the height regulation, it calculates out to 35.7 feet. We're proposing to put a 25,000 square foot addition to the rear of the building. And the topography of the site slopes from Kenneth Welch downwards towards the wetlands, and as you go further back, the grade drops, which results in the difference in our building height calculation, and it brings it up to 37.5 feet. We're not changing the roof line's staying, so the addition will match the existing roof line, but it's going to be deeper in the back. It's going to be taller in the back just because of the grade change. Under the
So
bylaw.
if you measure it from the sky, it's going to be the same height?
It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same height. It's going to be the same height. It's going to be in the back of the building. You're not going to be able to see it from the street. That's the long and short of it. I'm happy to answer any other questions you guys may have.
Let me read a couple of memos into the record. Planning board sent a memo to us on the 23rd regarding Campanelli 234 Kenneth Falls Drive. At the Thursday, March 12th meeting, planning board reviewed the above referenced petition for hearing from the Board of Appeals. The board has no comments regarding the petition. In the same email that we received for the prior petition hearing from the Conservation Commission, Concom agreed to send the proposed project at 234 Kenneth Welch Drive out to peer review. Assuming you guys are aware of that, correct?
Correct.
That's in the process.
Conservation met last night on this, Tuesday. We had planning board tonight, site plan review. That's where Jeff had come from. So all those things are progressing simultaneously.
In the process,
Yes, sir.
okay. So, only question I have, only because it becomes an issue, I don't think it really is an issue for this particular property, but from a parking standpoint, is there going to be any increased parking with the addition as far as the occupancy?
So right now, based on our calculations, there's 11 spaces out front currently, and we're proposing 3 additional parking spaces. There's currently 5 employees. We don't think the amount of employees is going to increase at all. So the proposed 14 spaces should be more than enough to handle on what's going.
Are all the spaces utilized currently at this point, or?
No, there's 11 out front. There's only 4 to 5 employees, so half of them are empty.
Does that include the parking that's on the side?
The parking along the side of in the front of the building, that's the 11 spaces I'm referring to right there, right? Yeah.
Obviously, we have height restrictions, so it's too tall, but the fact that this is based on the fact that it's the grade of the land,
It's great.
dropping, it's almost like you're making a deeper building as opposed to making a taller building.
That is correct.
That's a good way to frame it. What do you think, Jeff?
I think that's a perfect way to frame it. I have no problem with it.
And I don't think we have any depth bylaws we need to worry about. You guys have any questions or concerns? I don't. Need to ask him, since he did speak up. Well, we don't have anyone else in the audience to comment, so I guess I'll entertain a motion. I would probably just ask some word to be inclined to make a motion that we incorporate into that, and that we decide to do, to move it forward, that it would be subject to Concom and planning board site review.
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit, conditional on planning board and Concom's review and approval.
I second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Been sat here for an hour and a half for 10 minutes.
It happens, right?
Mike doesn't pay, he didn't pay by the hour. He was kind of rude.
Billable time here.
A couple more hours and okay, right?
You have the Prince Lock to work on during that, though.
Thank Thanks, guys.
All right, you're welcome, good luck. I'm sure you know the routine, Kathy doesn't tell you guys.
We're good. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, let's see, we have meeting minutes to approve for January 12th, January 15th, and February 12th. So,
I'm absent tomorrow, but it's something.
Absolutely, the 12th and the 15th.
which 12th?
Oh, good point, January 12th.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
So why don't we go backwards then? Do one of the Chris's want to make a motion to accept the February 12th? minutes?
Sure, I'll make a motion to accept minutes from, what's the date?
February 12th.
February 12th.
I second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we can do the 12th and 15th. What's the other question? I think we can, the three of us can do all those
Yeah.
together. We weren't at the 12th and 15th of January.
I would.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the 12th and 15th of January.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. For the record, our next meeting is, all right, we got these, sorry, I'm going to do it in chronological order as opposed to the way it's listed here. Our next meeting is Monday, April 13th here, and it's the continuation of the Simmons Hill, formerly known as Romney Woods hearing. Remember, that will start at 6 o'clock. Then we have our normally scheduled April 16th, Thursday, at 7 o'clock for our regular meeting. So
I make that,
let us know when we'll have to make sure we get Anthony to show up, so.
John, you both here, or is the...
Everything's back here, yeah, everything's back. The only key is Simmons Hill, South Hill, Simmons Hill.
like,
That's what it's, next time. Yeah, I get it. There you go. All right, anything else to come before us? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Wait a second. Second. Kathleen Rose did that. It is 8:23, we are adjourned, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
that's been half time now.
It's a lot of paper.
What? Game, game.